Hello everyone, my name is Nur Sharina binti Abdullah and my metric card number is BT12703. Today, I will present for part 1. As we can see here, this is the data that I get from the calculations. First of all, we need to find the frequency. So, we need to divide the e-commerce website into some class to find the frequency. After that, we need to find the relative frequency. So, this is the formula that I use to find it. Class frequency divided with total number observation. For example, 18 divided by 30 equal to 0.60. So, this is the relative frequency for the number of visits 0 up to 40. After that, we will find the cumulative relative frequency. So, this is the data of relative frequency and cumulative relative frequency for the number of visits. And this is the data for number of purchase orders. This is the table that shows relative frequency for number of visits and number of purchase orders, as well as histogram relative frequency. The graph shows that the relative frequency for number of visits is decreased until class 40 up to 80. For the number of purchase orders, the relative frequency is increased from class 80 up to 120 until class 160 up to 200 and decreased at class 200 up to 240. So, this is the table that shows cumulative relative frequency for number of visits and number of purchase orders. As we can see here, the OGIF show that the number of visits is increased until class 80 and stay maintained after that. And for number of purchase orders, the OGIF show remains same until class 80 and then increase after that.
My name is Nur Hashima binti Gulam Hussain. My number metric is BB22110402. Today I'm going to present part 2, which is calculate and compare measures of central location between two metrics. I'm going to talk about mean. Mean is calculated by taking all the values in a set and dividing them by the total number of the value in the data. Simply, we can say the formula for mean is the all of data, sum all of data, and divide them to the number of data. Firstly, we need to calculate the number of visit e-commerce website mean. So, first we're going to sum up all of the points of number of visit and divide them to 30, which is the number of data. So from that we will get 37.71 million. Next, we're going to calculate the number of purchase order e-commerce website mean. So the process is same with the calculation number of visit e-commerce website mean. So we're going to sum up all of the number of purchase order and divide them with the number of data, which is 30. From that, we get the answer 166.82. Moving on to the next point, which is median. Median is the number that is in the middle of a data set that is organized from lowest to highest or from highest to lowest. The median does not represent a true average, but is not as greatly affected by the presence of outlier as is the mean. Next, we're going to calculate the number of visits and the order of purchase e-commerce website median. So, first of all, we need to arrange all the numbers of data from lowest to the highest. So, for the number of visit, we get PG Mall as the lowest and the Shopee is the highest. From the arrangement, we get that QOO010 and Craft is the midpoint of number of visit. From the data, we sum up of 34.1 million and 34.9 million and divide them to 2. And we get 34.5. And the next, for order of purchase e-commerce website, it's same process with the number of visits e-commerce website. So we get that Lelong and QOO10 is the midpoint of the number of purchase order. So the point is 163.3 plus to 164.5 and divide them to and we get 163.9 million. Next, I'm going to talk about mode. The mode is the number that repeat most often in a data set. It's seldom used in a statistic as a reliable measure of center. We can look at the example that I have given. 2 is represented as a mod because the number has appeared the most often in a given list of number. So this is the calculation number of visit e-commerce website mod. So as we know, mod is the represent of the often point. So for the number of visit e-commerce website, we get that Padini and Q0010 has the often point, which is 34.1. So Padini and Q0010 is the mod for the number of visit e-commerce website. This is the conclusion of all dataset. Comparison of mean, median, and mode between number of visit and number of purchase order. So we can simplify that. For mean, we get that number of visit get 37.71 million, and for the number of purchase order is 166.82. Next, for median, for number of visits, we get that 34.5 value, and the number of purchase order get 163.9 value. And lastly, for mode, we get that the number of visit for mode is 34.1, but the number of purchase order is 0 because there's no often number that repeat for number of purchase order.
Hello, my name is Dayan Rafia BT12703 alias Saleh. My metric number is BB221100677. Part 3. Calculate percentage and construct box plot for each metric. The formula for percentile is location n plus 1 times p divided by 100. So the location 25 is 7.75, location 50 is 15.5, and location 75 is 23.25. Outliers. Formula for the outliers is quartile 1 minus 1.5 times IQR, or quartile 3 plus 1.5 times IQR. The formula for IQR is quartile 3 minus quartile 1. For the number of visits, any value smaller than 1.0875 or larger than 66.3875 is considered an outlier. For number of purchase order, any value smaller than 97.4625 or larger than 251.3625 is considered an outlier. The final answer for the outliers are 231.9, 210.3, 211.9. For the block spot, number of visits, mean is 23.0, quartile 1 31.825, median 34.5, quartile 3 45.65, maximum 54.2. For the outliers, 11.80. For the outliers, 11.0875, 66.3875. Lastly, for the block plot, number of purchase orders, mean is 116.5, quartile 155.175, median 163.9, quartile 3 193.65, maximum 231.9. For the outliers, 97.4625 and 251.3625.
Hello and hi everyone. I am one Ardini BT1 Arzani with matrix number BB2211014. So for today, I will present for part number 4, which is calculate and compare measure of dispersion between the two metrics. Okay, so there's a few ways to calculate the measure of dispersion. The first one is range. All we have to do is just to minus the maximum value with the minimum value. Then we will get the answer. So for the number of visits, the answer is 31.20 million, while for the purchase order is 115.40 million. Alright, next, we can use MED, which is mean absolute deviation, to find a measure of dispersion. So how to find the MED? First, we have to find the total of absolute value first. Okay, to find the total of absolute value, all you have to do is just to sum up the data of each of the data minus by mean. And when you get the answer, you have to divide it by the data size. So when we apply the value into the formula, then we will find that number of visit is 7.45 million, and for the number of purchase order is 25.66 million. Alright, the next one is variance and standard deviation. Okay, to get the variance, you have to find the total of absolute value times to the power of 2 first. Okay, how to get it? All you have to do is just to sum up the each of the data minus by mean times to the power of 2. And when you get the answer, you have to divide it by the data size minus by 1. And when we apply the value into the formula, we will get that number of visit is 76.10 million, and the number of purchase order is 987.59 million. Okay, for the standard deviation, all you have to do is just to square root the answer of the variance. And for the number of visit, we will get that the value is 8.72 million, and for the purchase order is 31.43 million. Alright, so the last one is coefficient of variation. Okay, before we find the CV, we have to find the standard deviation and mean first, which we already find it on the previous video. So we just have to apply the same value into the formula, which is standard deviation divided by mean, and we will get that the number of visit is 0.23 million, and for the purchase order is 0.19 million. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Syafiqah Rasman with BT12703 as my matrix number. I will be presenting for analytical data assignment part 5. The instructions ask you to calculate and interpret measures of association between the two metrics. This question had two calculations to finalize the answer, which is the sample of covariance and the correlation coefficient. So let's start with the covariance. To find the covariance, we must use the formula of xi or e-commerce website minus mean for e-commerce websites times yi or numbers of visits and divided with n or number of purchase orders minus 1. The data given for SXY equals to 5129.74 divided with 30 minus 1, the answer will be 176.89. While for correlation coefficient, we use the formula of Rxy is Sxy as sample of covariance divided with Sxxy for standard deviations of e-commerce times standard deviations of the number of visit. So Rxy equals to 0.65 for population mean, where it shows that the relationship is weak. This question had two calculations to finalize the answer, which is the sample of covariance and the correlation coefficient. So let's start with the covariance. To find the covariance, we must use the formula of xi or e-commerce website minus mean for e-commerce websites times yi or numbers of visits and divided with n or number of purchase orders minus 1. The data given for Sxy equals to 5129.74 divided with 30 minus 1, the answer will be 176.89. While for correlation coefficient, we use the formula of Rxy is Sxy as sample of covariance divided with Sxxy for standard deviations of e-commerce times standard deviations of the number of visit. So Rxy equals to 0.65 for population mean, where it shows that the relationship is weak.